Well, Gemma and Caro always sort out the problems of the world for us. Joining me here on the desk, Gemma Tonyini from GT
Hello, my
Communications.
friend.
And in the West, it's Caroline Di Russo, host of the Royal Report. Great to see you. Caro, did you watch the debate? Give us your pithy assessment.
Oh, it was traumatic to watch, and it's one of those things. For me, it's kind of like watching Kath and Kim, where you look at it and you're so embarrassed for what's going on screen, your throat tightens up, and that's how I felt about the US debate. It was not an awesome performance from either of the candidates, quite frankly. Obviously, you know, Trump still has his faculties, which puts him way ahead of the current serving president, but it was dire, and I don't think anyone watching that is living in hope.
Just incredible. I found that harder to watch on Friday, Gemma, than some of the footy I've seen this year.
Well, I mean, who knew there were such great golfers? I mean, who knew there were such outstanding golfers? And
exactly,
you know,
we're actually debating whether who's got the biggest handicap. But it does get to Biden. He's trying to tell people that he's off a 6 handicap. Give me a break.
I mean, I've said this before on air, and I don't say this lightly. My late father had severe cognitive decline in the last year of his life, and he was unable to drive, apart from the fact that he was an amputee, but he was not cognitively okay, yet he was significantly better than President Joe Biden. And if I was his child, I would feel, this is disturbing for me because I've seen what it's like to have a parent go down that road and you want to protect them. You do everything you can to protect them, and yet this man has just been hung out like a carrot on the end of the stick, like a puppet.
That's not protecting him. They're abusing him, really. Tell me this, Caro. It shocks me that so many people have been shocked by this. I tried to explain it at the top of the show. I think there are there's a huge section, probably the majority of the population in Australia and the US and elsewhere, who haven't seen much of this. The media have kind of censored it from them, and here it was in front of their eyes for the first time. They only saw in the debate on Friday what we've been seeing on and off for the last couple of years.
And this here highlights the importance, Chris, of reading across different media mastheads every single day, because this has been pushed into the background for, you know, I mean, this has been going on for some time. I mean, this is something that it often gets talked about on Sky, and to be honest, we, you know, copped a fair bit of flack for it in the earlier days, but it was still obvious then. But it was even interesting just watching some of the commentary on the debate, and some media commentators were like, "Oh, Biden looks a little tired today," and I'm like, "Really? Is that where you're still at? Not really being honest about this?" But you know, the fact of the matter is, the truth is somewhere out there, and you should read and watch across all the media spectrum, because the truth is there somewhere in the middle. Well,
the question is going to be who they put up. Now, I've been checking the betting markets for over a year on this stuff, Gemma. And Gretchen Whitmer, the Michigan governor, and Gavin Newsom, the California governor. And, of course, the Hail Mary pass for them is to convince Michelle Obama to take the gig. What do you think will happen?
I don't actually know, and I'm really comfortable saying that I don't know. I mean, Gavin Newsom has done a spectacular job of ruining the state of California, so let him loose on the greater country itself. Gretchen, I don't think she's got enough broader traction. Michelle Obama, I don't think she's stupid enough, and I don't think she'd want to walk into that. I mean, look, again, I'm sort of thinking as a normal person. I have no idea what pot floats her boat. But my other question genuinely is the country too much of a basket case? Like, this thirst for absolute power, you'd have to be bonkers to want to walk into that situation and be saddled with the enormity of the responsibility. And that's what people seem to forget. This is such a... They work for the public. The country is crying out for leadership. It's crying out for coherency. It's crying out for, like, sovereign borders, all of the basics. I don't know who, and I don't know how ideologically wedded to something you have to be to respond to that debate with, no, he's fine, he's a bit tired.
Exactly. It's incredible. The only person who's seriously not worried about it is Joe Biden, because he doesn't really know what's going on. Now, let's bring it back home, and the latest stats, Caro, on electricity bills and the financial pressure they're putting on people. 127,000 customers just in New South Wales essentially saying we can't pay our bills, dig us out of here to the companies. This is where the political divide is so extreme, where the Teals and the political class, they can't imagine the struggle to pay the power bill. They don't understand what a huge impact this is on families, and therefore politically incredibly potent.
And this goes back to the answer that I just gave. This is why it is so important to read a variety of material to understand what's going on in the real world. This is a surprise to no one. I mean, there have been many commentators and many people in the political class who have been yelling from the rooftops about a cost of living crisis, about a potential energy crisis for 18 months. And it's like, it's only since after the referendum that, you know, a whole bunch of people finally got on board and realised things might be a bit tough for a few people that, you know, wasn't really in their social circles, so they didn't actually realise how much of a significant problem this was. And then you think about the way that the governments are trying to address this. We now have governments that are subsidising renewable energy projects at the project stage. We've got subsidisation at the wholesale level, and now we also have subsidisation at the retail level. And somehow we still have this situation where everyday Australians who are dealing with mortgages and increases in insurance, that's been big this week, and other inflationary issues, cannot pay something as fundamental as a power bill. Yep. And it's like there's this whole bunch of people in the political class who have only just worked out this is an issue. It
is insane, and we'll keep on it. But I want to move on to something else, because when governments can't do the basics like supply reliable and affordable energy to us, they get involved in all their social campaigns telling us how to feel, being patronising to us. And the Victorian government, have a look at this ad. The Victorian government is trying to tell us to be nice to trans people. Apparently, we don't know to be nice to other human beings ourselves, so they have to make ads to tell us how to behave. Now, the ad starts, Gemma, with examples of people being mean and ignoring trans people, not letting them sit next to them. And then that shows, oh, actually, you're supposed to be nice to them. I mean, how insulting is this, and how necessary is this?
Well, I mean, Victoria's a failed state, so let's start with that. But the second thing, there's another ad that's doing the rounds in this suite of ads which shows a woman in a lift with a trans person, and she feels uncomfortable, and the woman leaves the lift. And the inference of that ad is, oh, you're being really mean. You're being really mean. You need to stay in the lift with that person. And look, I can tell you, it doesn't matter. As a woman, it doesn't matter who I'm in a lift with, or who I'm in a car with, or who I'm in a position with, walking down the street with. I don't care if it's a man, a woman, a person who's trans, gay, straight, brindle, black, whatever. If I feel unsafe, for whatever reason, that is my prerogative and my responsibility to act on that. And the Victorian government should be ashamed of itself, because you are gaslighting women to say that your feelings are not valid, because you need to make a cohort of people, you know, feel okay. If a woman is in any situation with any other person of any other iteration and she feels unsafe, that is her prerogative.
Great point.
And I just cannot believe this stuff. And I was going to use a swear word, but then I'd have to put money in my mum's swear jar.
I hadn't thought about it in those terms. I did think, though, of the welcoming the trans footy player into the women's footy team. That's easy enough to welcome them into your team. The issue is the other team, the other girls who have to play against the trans. That's where you've got the
whole debate around the player Hannah Mounsey.
Yep,
it's
exactly.
Safety. It's a safety issue. So okay, be welcoming, but what right does another player have to be put into a place of potential
and people are welcoming
risk?
And they don't need to be told by governments
100%.
how to be welcoming. Thanks for joining us, Caro and Gemma. Really appreciate it.